The next panel, Evelina Gilbert, Devon Howard, Gail Clinton, Gloria Young, Laura Alanis, thank you, Jane Aquino, thank you. They will be followed by Anna Crockett, Lisa Blackwell, Angela Ghost, Charles Ellis, Celeste Peterson, Mandy Dealey. Evelina Gilbert will be shown registering a position in opposition of the bill. Devon Howard.
I am here.
Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Devon Howard. I come from New Caney, Texas, in Senate District 4. I am a constituent of Senator Williams, and I am representing myself, and I strongly oppose this bill. My goal in this testimony is to shed light on a side that is less heard, the side of the trans community. It is estimated that 55% of female to male and 68% of male to female trans people will be forced to have sex in their lifetime. Corrective rape is defined as when someone rapes someone else in order to attempt to correct their devious behavior. In the LGBTQ communities, this happens to correct sexual and gender deviancy. For example, a man may rape a lesbian, which I have heard a couple of times in these testimonies, or a trans man with the intent of showing them the correct way of living. While this is illegal, I ask you, members of the committee, what happens to a child born from this attack? If this bill is to pass, there would be almost no way for any poor, non-white, non-passing trans person to get an abortion, and they are the ones most frequented by these attacks. If the child is forced to be born under these laws, which, mind you, their parent is a second-class citizen with no employment rights, no housing rights, and no insurance rights, how will they live? This bill is proposed to be a pro-life bill, but all that it will do is force impoverished people to birth impoverished children. Did you know that currently 25% of children in Texas live under the poverty level? Or did you miss that from the pedestal of power and privilege that you rest on? If this bill were truly pro-life, it would be working to fix the systematic oppressions that forced 1/4 of Texas children to live under the poverty level. It would increase Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP, and welfare. It would make our public schools better. This bill is not pro-life, it is pro-birth. You are worrying more about unborn children than the children who are alive right now, and that is despicable. And I say to every male senator and representative fighting for this bill, either you grow a uterus or you get your hands off of theirs.
Gail Clinton. Go ahead.
My name is Gail Clinton. I live in Wimberley, Texas, and I represent myself. My testimony is against SB1, and it's based partly on the study of the history of abortion. The documented information demonstrates that attempts to terminate pregnancy by abortion go back thousands of years and in every society that has ever been studied. Moreover, the frequency of abortion before Roe versus Wade was similar or greater than that after Roe versus Wade. Therefore, there has always existed the drive to abort unwanted pregnancy, whether it was legal or illegal. That this drive is ever present in the history of human beings strongly suggests that pregnancy termination in certain instances is a biological imperative and that women will attempt to terminate at the risk of their own lives. Therefore, restricting access to safe abortions that would occur if SB1 passes will not reduce occurrence as demonstrated throughout history, but rather will restrict safe abortions, endangering lives. Finally, I personally experienced an unwanted pregnancy when I was a teenager before Roe versus Wade. It turned out to be a so-called false pregnancy. It was based on faulty information from lack of education and lack of understanding and lack of information, and basically there was no sexual intercourse. It was just sitting on a boy's lap. But in that situation, I was so terrified of becoming pregnant that I actually developed a false pregnancy. And before this was revealed, I attempted to risk my life and to terminate the pregnancy. So I testify from historical fact and my own experience that there are situations where a woman will do anything to terminate a pregnancy. please don't put women in this desperate situation by passing SB 1.
Thank you, Ms. Clinton. Gloria Young.
Yes, good
Go
evening.
ahead.
Good evening. My name is Gloria Young, and I am here to speak against the bill. I'm here on behalf of myself, my daughter, my dear departed mother, my grandmother, and all the women in my lineage who never had a choice. Here's what I love about the democratic process. There's a Constitution, and it says that we all have the right to freedom of religion, freedom of speech, to freedom of the press, and to freedom of peaceful assembly, which we have observed throughout these weeks of time. Many thousands of us have enjoyed these freedoms, these rights for the past few weeks, and we are here today because that First Amendment also says that we have the right to petition the government for redress of our grievances. In his recent PBS series, Peter Sagal chronicled the birth of the Constitution, and he noted that significant decisions at that time were made by men in smoke-filled rooms, in barroom brawls, and in ways that were questionable coercive tactics for youth. And thankfully, our democratic government has evolved to include women, to include people of every color, religion, and sexual orientation. And thankfully, over the decades, increasingly more decisions have been made with rational, realistic, respectful, and circumspect consideration for the will of the people. But not this time. This time, this bill is destined to deny women's rights as provided by the Supreme Court in Roe v. Wade. This bill is written in language that foments anger, mistrust, and judgments, language that causes us to consider our friends, our fellow Americans, in the harsh light of animosity. It divides our homes, our churches, and our communities.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Ms. Alaniz? Is Laura Alaniz present? We're going to show her in opposition to the bill registering a position. Jane Aquino?
Yes.
Aquino. Thank you. Go ahead.
All right. My name is Jane Aquino. I live in Lamarck, and I'm a Bachelor of Science registered nurse. Larry Taylor, you are my representative. And I wrote you last week on this subject. I have a unique view, having been placed in a difficult position twice in my life. When I was 16 years old, I didn't have a choice, and I carried a child to term and dealt with the fallout, the social fallout and the health implications of carrying a child to term. When my friends wore members only, I wore maternity clothes. 10 years later, living in Texas, I'm trying to put myself through school, working 3 minimum wage jobs, and once again I have to make a difficult choice. I'm offered an opportunity to have a job where I have health insurance, hours and wages, where I can finish my education, but a job I cannot do pregnant. Working at a package company, I literally lifted 2,000 pounds a night to put myself through school. I can tell you, I pay now in taxes more than I earned that year when I was making minimum wage. And I can tell you which choice was harder to make, adoption or the other one. To deny the equal opportunity for education and jobs would hurt Texas women, and that's why I oppose SB 1. The 40-Year-Old Virgin is a comedy with Steve Carell, not a lifestyle choice for a woman who wants to finish her higher education. Despite Perry's claim that this is the most common, minimally invasive thing done, I would call it the most commonly legislated based on morality. 5 million colonoscopies took place in 1 year, and nobody asked them if they should have thought about colon cancer before they ate cheeseburgers and french fries instead of broccoli and coleslaw. 1.8 million cataract surgeries were paid for by Medicare, and nobody told them they should have thought of that before they didn't wear their sunglasses. Thank you.
Lisa Blackwell. Oh no, that group. Thank you to this panel. The next panel